Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics
Folks, welcome to
Done
another edition
Right.
of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Specifically, we're going to actually start the show with a piece, a very cleaned up piece of something I did this morning that got some good rapport. I mean, it is an important thing with AI that is going on right now. So that is something we're going to cover right up front. Welcome aboard, everybody. Welcome aboard to the house. First in the house today was ABQ, said Michael Rudnin from Brooklyn, New York. Second in was Patrick Magner, meow, from Houston, Texas. My brother, Patrick. Seventh is coming up. We also have Joanna from Los Angeles, California. We also have Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita. Harry Denson, my morning show talker. My morning show brother from Missouri City, Texas. We also have in the house with us, I'm scrolling down to reach people, CT Lynn Jones in the chat, as well as Suzette Jensen on Substack, and a lot of others. By the way, I missed the first 50-something folks in Substack, so forgive me, but Substack, it's not my fault. I realize that it's not my fault. I realize that Substack simply starts up a bit late. Lee Grant from Montgomery County is in the house with us as well. Thank you so kindly for being with us, folks. Independent voter numero uno is in the house with us. Thank you, independent voter numero uno. And I think you are a recent great supporter on our Substack. Thank you so kindly, my brother. We cannot do this without all of you great supporters. I mean, you don't know what it really means for us to continue doing what we do with the great support you guys offer. Anyway, let me see what Radnin has in store for us today. NBC News. NAACP calls for emergency shutdown of Musk supercomputer in Memphis. The civil rights group alleges that the project solution could be harmful to nearby residents. XAI has come under scrutiny in recent months for operating methane gas turbines in its Memphis facility to meet the electricity needs of the supercomputer colossus. The turbines also emit pollutants, including nitrogen oxides and formaldehyde. No pollution control because Doge cut the funding for the government regulators. Elon Musk is turning Memphis into a corporate sacrifice zone, poisoning people with air pollution, causing congestive heart failures and cancers. And you know what? That has to be his undoing. You see, they do that all the time. They put, you know that NIMBY, not in my backyard. Well, they always say, we don't care if you don't want it in your backyard, poor people. We don't care, because you have no power. What we have to do is empower our brothers and sisters in Memphis to sue the holy hell out of this billionaire who's earned all his wealth on whose back? Your back. All right. What else have you got for me? And let's see if there's anything else. I don't see anything else out here. But that's a very important story, and we are following it. There is a reporter that I'm trying to tag. I think her name is, I can't remember the name right now, but trying to tag. But whatever the case may be, folks, AI is the big thing that's happening right now. And I did a piece on AI this morning, and I spent a whole lot of time cleaning it up to take out some of the extraneous stuff, because it is important that we look into this subject. So I'm running a bit behind. So as I'm speaking to you right now, I'm opening the appropriate channels to make sure every channel can hear the program, the piece that I want to play for you. I'm getting that ready right now. I titled it, what did I title that piece? I want to make sure and give you the right title because I was trying to come up with a good title that will get to you. And it goes, Mining Our Brain. Capitalism makes AI a clear and present danger. Democracy makes it our utopia. That's what I named it. You can tell me whether you like it or not. The name, that is. Bruce Pollard says, howdy team. Bruce Pollard I think you're still in Minnesota. He's from Kingwood, Texas, but he's visiting his grandkids, I think, in Minnesota. I know it's beautiful this time of year out there. I did a democracy conference out there in not St. John's, actually Minneapolis. Yeah, in Minneapolis. It was either a democracy convention in Minneapolis or it was a Netroots or one of those projects that I did over there. But beautiful, beautiful city, both the Minneapolis and St. John areas. All right. We also have Carl Cox in the house. Carl Cox is here. Where is Egberto? I am here, Carl. What's wrong with you, Carl? Come on, my brother. Anyway, Carl Cox is in the house. Carl Cox is from Riverdale, Georgia. You see, I remembered it and you didn't even tell me. You didn't even have to remind me, Carl Cox. I remembered. Okay. Let's see what else. So the mind isn't completely fried yet. All right, let's go ahead and do that video that I was talking about. I think I have it queued up. Let's get it started. And then I want your interpretation. Earlier, Mr. Patrick had some issues with what I said about AI. I reconstituted it. Please feel free to call Patrick if you're still here to expand on what you had to say. Because that stuff about robotics was very important, what you said this morning. So let's go ahead and do it. Last night, while I was writing the show, I was watching after the 11 hour with Stephanie Rule. And she said, we're going to talk about AI. So that kind of changed what I really wanted to talk about because I constantly hear the fears of AI. And it sort of upsets me because we should never fear progress. We should never fear moving ahead. We should never fear our collective knowledge, all the things that we know. We have learned in our country to fear just about everything, including our shadows. That is how people keep control of you. One of the ways that you keep control of people is putting them in a state of fear. Donald Trump knows that very well, the way he have you fearing the immigrant, having you fear the other. Specifically, the right wing lives in a constant state of fear because if you are in fear, you're not really looking at that which is really harming you. How does that have anything to do with AI? It's all integrated. It's all put together. Now, when I just came to the country, the first place I went to school was a little school in Brenham, Texas called Lynn College. And that is where I got came there, played some music there, but I was always taking up engineering. But I also I was a fan of economics. So I took as an elective an economics class, Economics 101. And that showed me, I guess, how stupid I really was in the thoughts that I was supposed to be, how economic system really works. I remember the first time I got called out by a professor was when we're talking about building widgets and supply and demand. I believe in supply and demand to some extent, right? If you have a whole lot of people wanting something, right, and to control how the price is going to go up if there's not an abundance of that something. But I mean, if you take a look at our society, what is the most abundant thing that we have on this planet? The most abundant thing that we have on this planet is water. In different states, we have fresh water, brackish water, salt water, polluted water, clean water, all of that. But we've got water. And it's not hard to clean water for consumption. But still yet, we have been programmed into believing that it is something that is worth quite a bit of money. Sometimes we actually pay more for a gallon of water than we pay for a gallon of gas, a gallon of many things. we have been programmed to believe that this huge and abundant resource is scarce. So we have an economic system who knows how to use scarcity for a few amount of people to control. I want you to understand and get this concept real, because all of this I'm going to tie all of this together. So again, water, you think about it. Go around Houston, go around Minnesota. You're surrounded by lakes of fresh water, salt water, brackish water. To turn salt water into fresh water, you just have to do electrolysis, or you just do a little something to pass it through a filter that extracts the salt. And you can even extract heavy metals, all these things from water inexpensively in volume. But somehow we have been taught to believe that, hey, bottle it up, put it into plastic, and hey, we got ourselves a product to make a lot of money. We let people believe clean water is scarce, and we jack up the price. So I told a professor, I remember we were talking, and he said, what happens if people like a lot of this particular product? And I said, a lot of people are going to buy it from the factory? He said, yes. I said, then the price should fall, because I only need to make X amount of dollars. And if I'm printing so much more of this stuff, this widget, I can drop the price. Professor, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. If it's scarce, meaning if a lot of people want it, that gets the price up. That's my first failure. Not realizing that making things seem to be scarce, even if you can make a lot of it, that you pay a high price. We can look at gasoline, we can look at petroleum, we can look at gas, all these different issues. Make them scarce. There was never a shortage of oil, ever. You have Venezuela swimming in oil, Saudi Arabia swimming in oil, the United States swimming in oil. All these places have always, it's not like we're making a whole lot but we are making new oil. As you know, the truth of the matter is, as plants decay and animals die in the forest and all of that, eventually that makes itself into oil and carbon and all those things. But that does it on the millions of years. And we're talking about using the resources that's been created just now. So we created this shortage of oil, and we have this economic system that says if you can make something scarce, no matter how abundant it is, but you control people's minds, you control the news, you control all these things, you can give simulated shortages that then you can jack prices up. So oil prices, we jack up all the time by creating false scarcity. Now, when it came to the internet, remember I said I would get to the internet with the dialogue how I come into the story, that I said, you created the internet. We got all these things done with the internet, but then it was taken over by the plutocracy. I remember when, and again, in the early 90s, I remember in the early 90s, as the internet was created, I was ecstatic. Well, not created, brought to the people. It was created with ARPANET much earlier than that. But starting with the World Wide Web and Andreessen and all these guys, I was excited. It was because the internet gave a certain level of anonymity, right? And as a person of color who understood that our industries had a whole lot of what should I say? It wasn't fair, right? I understood that what the internet meant. The internet actually meant that we have never in our history had a meritocracy. We have always had it where you had to be invited to the club. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what race, ethnicity, none of that matters. We never had a meritocracy. When you go for a job, you aren't tallied up and say, I can actually do this job based on my merit. It was always a choice of somebody, not an absolute set of numbers that determine if you're going to have a job or not. But there were a whole lot of things that went into you getting that job. But ultimately, it was the choice of somebody. And these choices were not objective or meritorious. That's just how we've been. So when the internet came, I got excited. I said, finally, anonymity in what you can do. So if you learned the internet and you learned how to create a product on the internet and just sold it on the merits of it, then nothing else mattered. whether you're a woman or a man, whether you're gay or straight, whether none of that mattered, because if you created something on the internet and however you marketed it or whatever, it would be based solely on merit. And for a while, that was the internet. That's how we got a whole lot of people going on there. I mean, even singers. A singer, you go to any church in the United States and you can find some great people that know how to sing so well. They're singers. But when it comes to, I know a lot of folks in my wife's church that sing a whole lot better than Beyonce. But Beyonce was the chosen. Beyonce was the chosen. The record executives and everything, as they went through their stuff, they chose Beyonce. Not that she's the best singer or anything like that, but she was chosen. It is never and has never been a meritocracy. You know how we know that? When the internet came out, we had all these kids that went on and they sang and they did things, and people discovered them on their own, and they were discovered, and their YouTube drive, the amount of people that watched them on YouTube and Instagram and in those days Create Space and all these things, it created stars. It created stars because the internet was open. People were just using it to do things. And if you like something, democracy worked. Democracy made stars. Democracy made a lot of people into stars. And then the plutocracy started to do things with the internet, like throttling the internet, like making sure that the amount of bandwidth you got was based on how much you're willing to pay for internet. And then we had the big companies at the internet deciding whether they're going to give the search engines or going to give people the ability to find you. All of that was when capitalism jumped in to say, nope, just like we controlled water, just like we controlled oil, we're going to control the internet as well. And people that could just go onto the internet and become big stars, the magic of capitalism still said, only if we let you, only if we invite you. I can speak about politics done right on the internet right now. When you actually see this in action, when something happens known as throttling, when the powers that be decide which streams on the internet are going to be throttled or not, which streams on the internet is going to get performance or not. All of this controlled by this great economic system that is overbearing, that doesn't allow true democracy in all these issues. Again, I hope you're following me from water to oil to internet. And now we're at the stage. And this is where we come into the AI now. AI, artificial intelligence. There's nothing artificial about intelligence. That's a magical word. We use it. All AI is the collective knowledge of all of us. All of us had input and have input and continue to have input into AI. Some billionaire pays a whole bunch of engineers to go ahead and copy, and you hear me right, and copy all of your brains. That's what AI is. AI is a bunch of billionaires that got a whole lot of people to copy your brains. And you know what? It could be that the government could have done that too, right? At no cost to all of us, just as our tax dollar investment. But we have allowed the billionaire to copy all of our brains. And I don't talk about just American brains, everybody's brains. How do we do that? We look at every record there is about you. We look at about everything that you have ever written, every book that ever been written. All of that is sucked into a database. And then engineers figure out how to take all that data and whatever you ask for, search that data, give you a response. And because computers in the aggregate are much faster than your brain, you can get that information rather quickly. So what it means is, whereas a researcher needed 10 people to research a book that he's writing on international relations or whatever. You just put a query into a chat box and you get the response from that chat box. Research of 100 people done in a fraction of a second. That's AI. But again, all of us, and from the beginning of absorbable history, is absorbed into AI. So we are looking at what the masses, the collective has produced. Every time you write a text, every time you write something on the internet, all of that is sucked in to the thing. And now what that means is for employment, white collar jobs, we don't really need as many of those researchers anymore. In fact, it'll eventually turn into virtual teachers. You'll soon have virtual teachers that come in and do quite a bit of things. Okay. And that is what's going to happen. AI is the collective knowledge of all of us. Right now, the folks most invested in AI at this point are these billionaires that are over here. Our collective knowledge is what AI is, and the billionaires are mining that. You know how we mine the oil, we mine the carbon, we mine all these things that are not in short supply. These things are readily available just for the person to mine it. Our economic system says we allow these billionaires who have capital to invest in mining that which belong to all of us, and they make the profit from the spoils. That's our economic system. I don't like it. That's the economic system that we have. There are other models for us to consider, but that's what we have. But whatever economic system we have, we should have fairness. The people mine oil, they mine water, they mine carbon, they mine iron ore to create steel, and now they're mining your brain. That's what AI is, the mining of your brain. And we have the capitalists again mining your brain. So after they've mined your brain to create these huge databases, these big farms of computers to keep your data and analyze your data, all of our data, that makes a lot of people obsolete. So there is a new product that these plutocrats are selling. So they sell it to me, they sell it to everybody else. Like, I am using AI so that as a one-person media operation, the amount of research that I can do in one day and validating information. And by the way, AI isn't perfect. You still have to double check the data AI gives you, but it's massive. My one-man operation is doing the work of over 10 people if I were to aggregate all the work that gets done through AI. It is really that powerful because all the people that are listening to me, are that powerful as a collective. As a collective, we are all powerful. And that's the magic that we're in now. And that's the magic that the billionaires are working with. They have the ultimate ore, the ultimate element, the ultimate material, your brain. And that's what AI is. Now, people fear AI. Why? Because remember what I just told you. My one-man operation is working like a 10-person operation. Why? Because of AI and all these tools I'm integrated. So therefore, there are 10 people that otherwise could have a job that won't. Okay. So people are fearful because now it's not just the coal miner that is going to be searching for a job. It's now the people that we tend to give more credence to, more value to, that white collar worker. That's not me saying this. Okay. I believe all work is valuable. All work is important. But they're calling it the DEFCON 1 now because it's affecting these people. Okay? That's not what we should fear. It's our economic system that has always allowed that to happen. From mining oil and creating false scarcity to now mining your brains and, creating another scarcity. But let's put it this way. What we need now is not a fear of our composite or collective knowledge. What we need is a change in our economic system that takes into account as we progress, we grow, we know more, and in knowing more, we realize we can work less, enjoy our environment, enjoy our families, enjoy all of these things, if and only if we democratize AI. And how is that done? Remember I told you we don't need a lot of people's jobs are not necessary anymore. The way it goes is if those people's jobs aren't necessary anymore, that means that the unit cost goes down. What that means is the profit margin of the plutocrat goes sky high, because now efficiency has increased. I don't need as many people to do the same job. And who profits from efficiency? Capitalism has paid the plutocrat, the capitalist, they have always profited from efficiency. They have always gotten the spoils. We have created robots to make life easier. We have created the wheel, cars to make things easier. And at every step of the game, our current economic system has taken those spoils and given it to a few, not to all of us who created this stuff. We've used a patent system and I wrote a lot about this in my book. I can't talk about that on a 501c3 right now, but I've wrote about how the patent system and all these things were designed to make money for the few. You create a drug, and by the way, we are the ones that create the drugs. A capitalist capitalizes on that drug. That drug is tripled in price, and they take the spoils for something that we all created. And again, we've done it with oil, we've done it with water, are going to do it with your brain, unless we change our economic system, unless we create the laws that ensure that we have a true democracy on who owns your mind. And that is what we've got to control, folks. We have to make sure that as AI comes online, that the people don't work 40 hours a week anymore, because we don't need 40 hours a week. Maybe you work 20 hours a week and have all these people employed working 20 hours a week. Not that the spoils go to the rich person, the plutocrat. That now that we have machines that use our collective knowledge to do a lot, well, now we can do a lot less, but we still get paid. That is where we have to look. We don't need to fear AI. We need to put the right people in office, and we need to neuter those who are controlling our minds.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand.
And that is what it's all about, folks. I hope you followed that. I tell you what, the telephone number is, before I go to the other subject, the telephone number is 281-823-7747. Anybody fearing AI, want to discuss AI, want to talk about what's happening here, this is an important subject that I think what the media is profoundly misrepresenting AI and the fears of AI. In fact, people are fearing AI because the media is giving the billionaires a pass to control your brain, to control your economy, etc. If we have the proper narrative for AI, right now AI is just what should I say? The use of your brain without your consent, right? Right now, AI is the use of your brain, the use of your data without your consent. And that's why when I talk about we have to change the economic system to take this new paradigm into effect, where our collective knowledge is used, we work less and get paid more, because again, as we have the robots, whether mechanical or electronic, to do most of our work, it means that we can have a life where we're not dependent on doing that kind of work anymore. Our kind of work is enjoying the environment, cleaning the environment, going out with the family, spending more time with the family. All these things that our collective knowledge that the billionaire is trying to appropriate. Remember, that's what's happening here. Remember, we learned everything. We produced everything. We designed everything. It's our intellect that did everything. That billionaire has nothing over any one of you listening to me right now. Remember that. These are things we have. You see, we have slowly learned things the Powell Manifesto is one of those great documents to pollute your mind, right? There are certain things we have learned from the time we got into school. Capitalism is a system that is a democratic system, False. China is the biggest capitalist country. The second largest capitalist country in the world. Capitalism is democracy. Nope. It's an autocratic system. The people who run the corporations decide absolutely everything. The employees are just serfs. They do what the executives decide that they're going to do, period. No questions asked. We have been fooled into thinking that this is the way things need to be. They don't. We don't need to remain exploited. But you see, we have so maligned the rest of the world and then make believe that our system is by design the only thing that makes sense, the only thing that is moral, in as much as it is very immoral. It is very immoral that healthcare is in a capitalist market immoral. What would Jesus say? What would Muhammad say? That our child rearing system doesn't have support. Oh, no, immoral. We have a very immoral system masquerading itself as moral with a facade that underneath is a disease that kills. And it's hard when you grow up going to school, learning the way we've learned all our lives. It is hard to wake up and understand, why is it that I do all the work and Elon Musk and Bill Gates and these guys that don't know any of these things that they're invested in, they don't know how to build a car. Elon Musk doesn't know how to build a rocket, a car, or program computers. All he has is money that he made. His father loaned him $25,000. He goes ahead and buys a website. The website, you fool a few people. Just like look up Mark Cuban. Look up how Cuban got his wealth, right? Cuban is a good guy. He followed the system and he played by the rules. But the rules that we have are not for those of us who actually produce anything of value. The rules are there who know how to play with the simulated capital markets, meaning I know how to write a piece of paper and turn that piece of paper into money. I don't have to do any work, but I can get very rich spending up all night going over some numbers, but I create nothing. And that is where we're at. Okay, folks, the telephone number 281-82. Before I go to the next subject, let's see if anybody wants to call in. 281-823-7747. I'd love to hear from some of you. What about you in the chats? Those of you in the Substack chat, any comments that you want to make on the subject that we talk about? I know to some people it may seem kind of difficult or hard to follow, especially if you got in the middle. But if you kind of want to know what we're talking about, feel free to give me a call, 281-823-7747. Let's see in the chat if I have anything. Why not worry about what you can mainly control, not what others think or say? No. Again, that lead the Bearcat, respectfully, that is what they expect of you to say. Our plutocracy, our oligarchy, our autocrats, they want you to say that. That statement there is what I remember slaves used to say. Oh, I can't change this, so, just do what I can. That's what slaves say, right? We were all slaves, different kinds. Slavery based on chattel slavery, employee slavery. There are all kinds of slavery. And by slavery, I mean that which works without control. Okay? That which works without control. And exactly, independent voter one, that is submission. Yes. And what is the main action of a slave? Submission. Yes, massa, I'll do what you say, massa. And if I don't submit, there are consequences, right? But we all collectively have to stop submitting. Collectively, we have to say absolutely no more. Absolutely no more. Still can't find the show on my phone and having trouble signing up for Twitch. Sorry about that, Maywood. Maybe sometime we can work on that individually. Let's see what else we got here. Anybody else have some comments before I move on to the next subject? Because this is a big subject, folks. This AI thing is big. It scares a lot of people. Some people think they don't understand it. And my thing is like, oh, no, you understand it. And don't be fearful in going into it head on. If you ever ask a query, if you ever queried Google for anything, you understand AI.
I didn't understand, but I found something else. Do you want to know how many times has my name been Googled?
No, I don't. It is funny. I said something that woke up my Google. Always listening. But anyway, so yeah, folks, we have to take control, right? And we have to have leaders that are not bought by a plutocracy that neuters their thought process. We got to do that, right? Well, my time is up, but I'll be back. Okay, Brother Maywood, thanks for being here from Long Beach, California. All right, Lee Birka says, no slave, I am the master of my own life and control my destiny with hard work and focus what is important to me. It is my life and my dream. Call me up and I'll prove you wrong, Lee the Bearcat. You know, I used to think that way. Look, I've had several companies. I if you doubt it, look up Willies Computer Software Company. I thought I thought I really control my destiny. Remember what I said? You are chosen. It's not a meritocracy. You are chosen. My first acceptance, okay? It is not easy for me to say that I am a slave to the system, especially being a black man, a Latino man, a Caribbean man. But I am. You have to first accept reality. Being what's the word? Too proud to admit that we live in a system where, as independent voter one would say, we have to submit. Okay? So no, Lee the Bearcat, you are not in control of your life at all. You are, I repeat, Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. You are absolutely not in control of your own life. You are absolutely not in control of your own destiny. Okay? I can talk to you about having everything, having a company, having everything, and having one mishap that was unexpected, having a daughter who got 2 strokes and having to interact with a system. And suddenly you realize, that it doesn't really matter. We have a system that does not condone itself for what you thought you had, and that is control of your own destiny, control of your own life. You may have it, you may seemingly have it temporarily for, people who like Medicare Advantage would say, oh, I pay very little. I take control of my health care. Until they don't, we have to be honest. We have to show what we really are. Leader Bearcat, we are chosen via hard work and ethic. And if not, then I don't subject to that thinking. No, that's a lie what you just said, Leader Bearcat. Your work ethic means very little in the large scheme of things. In a small scheme, work ethic means a lot. Look, I work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week to produce a good program continuously. I have control over that little thing. But because of this economic system, this can be taken away from me at any time. At any time, until we understand how this works. A good example of having control. The person who Donald Trump thought was a person who followed the rules. He has a green card. He comes here. He's going to school. He had his entire future ahead of him, and he lives in a free country. He thought he lived in a country that gave free speech. He thought, so he had his world mapped out with him, his daughter, his wife, and himself. And out of the blue, he ends up in El Salvador, right? He thought he had control of everything. He had control of his destiny. And the current administration said, you thought you did, but you don't. And we can go into economics as well. A lot of people thought they had their own, they saved up their monies. They have a couple of $1 million in the bank and they're ready to go. And then they get sick and they thought an insurance company was going to take care of something. And insurance said, we never covered that. And suddenly $2 million ain't $2 million anymore, because what it really costs is a hell of a lot more, because they have pricing power and you don't. Wake up. My dear brother, Patrick Magda, let me just read something that independent voters said, and then I'll come to you, my brother. Correct. It isn't
Yes,
until
sir.
it isn't until your perception of control is upended by chaos coming into your life that you realize that your sense of control was always an illusion of your own making. Independent, I am stealing that comment. Oh boy, that's beautiful. Let me copy that before it goes away. Independent voter one, I am stealing that comment. And also, don't worry, I'll be attributing it to you, of course. I don't steal without attribution, okay? That is, look, I want to repeat that. Did you hear that, Patrick, what I just read?
Part of it, yes, sir.
Let me read it again because I haven't heard it quite this well before. Independent voter on Substack said the following. He said, correct. He's agreeing with me, but he puts it in better words, more eloquent words. He says, it isn't until your perception of control is upended by chaos coming into your life that you realize that your sense of control was always an illusion of your own making. Is that beautiful or what?
Yes, I agree. And I agree with what he said. And I was about to say something similar, not as eloquent, but Lee the Bearcat was excited or is proud of his work ethic. I have a very strong work ethic, but to me, that means that I'm just more exploitable.
Oh, you are a genius. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my work ethic is my willingness to be exploited.
Oh, wow. You know something? That is another good one. You got to write that one down. And clean that up for me. Clean that up for me, Patrick, because you got to clean that one up for me because that's a great one as well. That's a great one. We got to clean that up.
I can argue it too because anthropologists will tell us that a hunter-gatherer society probably only worked 5 hours a week and the rest of it was leisure.
Right.
And so they were in charge and they ran their life. They all worked together as a community to spend about 5 hours to do an entire week's worth of work. And the rest of it was done raising each other's children and spending time together. That would be a life to be proud of. And that would be a life that you're in control of. And anything beyond that is exploitation.
And and when I talk about the enslaved mind, right? Think about the amount of indoctrination that you have to go through so that even as you're presented with the evidence of how you're being exploited, you continue to sing the same song. I see that a lot in Mike Cisak, Eric, and not always, but to some extent, Brother Lee the Bearcat. I mean, not all. Lee the Bearcat seemed to be one of those right wingers that tries to at least put the thinking cap on. But I mean, it is amazing to me that independent voters said accepting that our work ethic is a vulnerability for exploitation. That is a good corollary to what you said, Patrick.
I agree.
All right, tell me what you called me for.
The whole reason I called this morning was actually because of Brian when he called up about the jet ski. That was a terrible accident, but he tried to conflate the same way that Bard tried to say that because a woman that liked other women was flying a helicopter that caused an accident. Well, I mean, that's exactly what he said on your program.
Yeah, I remember.
Brian was trying to make the same approach. He was saying there was an illegal that killed a person on the lake. Yes, there was an accident there, and yes, maybe the behavior was wrong, but nothing about them being an immigrant here legally or illegally created that accident.
Exactly.
Now, what I wanted to point out to people is because it's quite possible because they were fearing being put in a gulag that they did not stop and assist, and instead their motivation was to flee. And so that's an unintended consequence to taking away people's rights and their right to trial. So we're going to see
I'm glad you said that because that is something that people in New York and California were talking about why they gave undocumented workers drivers license because if these people fear the police, if something like exactly what happened in, I think it was in near Fort Hood or whatever at that lake, if something happens like that woman who killed that young lady with the jet ski, her first thing isn't to stop to give help. Her first thing is to run because I may get deported.
Deported to a torture chamber.
Exactly.
I don't think anybody else would have made a different decision.
No, I mean, but it's funny because we only hear about when undocumented people do things here in the United States. What we don't hear is when undocumented American citizens do something elsewhere. I'm from Panama, and about a year ago, a guy riding down the Transismic highway in Panama, an American guy, killed two Panamanian teachers with a gun and tried to make a run for it. It is well. Actually, I think they held him down right away. So I don't think he was able to try to make a run for it. But I mean, there are all these things that we don't hear about what we do overseas, and we make it look like being a foreigner doing something in the United States is something so exceptional, which it isn't at all. Anyway, what else is there, Patrick?
Lastly, because I'm going kind of long, but the AI, I think, is very, very important. And what I was trying to make a point of this morning is that because capitalism is running our democracy will not shape AI into what we want, because it's going to be sold to us as the same way that robotics was. They're going to tell us that it's going to make our lives easier, and then somebody's going to sweep in and steal it just like they stole the internet, and then they're going to use it against us.
That is already happening, right? I mean, think about it.
Yes, sir.
I gave the example of my own one-person operation. I can't afford to hire human beings, but I can afford $50 here, $75 there, $150 there for the different AI tools that I'm using, right? So that's what I'm using. Now, the thing about it is my contention is that for all these products that I'm using, in the long run, as we should democratize AI in such a manner that people earn more and make less. And if that means basic income by taxing the excess profits out of what AI is generating from our composite knowledge. In other words, we have to give a value to everybody, because AI is composed of the knowledge from everybody, whatever everybody has put out there, etc. We have to find a way to put a number onto it, and with that, create a basic income. People think that people receiving a basic income are getting stuff for free. That's not true. Everybody has a purpose in society. Even the vagabond on the street. You don't see it many times because we choose not to see that even they have an economic impact on society. Society is just that. The composite of all of us, the good, the bad, the ugly, the hardworking, the not so hardworking, all of that. I mean, if you didn't have the people in need, you won't have the charities that employ people, that take care. I mean, I could go through the permutations of how everybody is a part of society and make society work. Anyway, close out for me, Patrick.
Okay. Yeah, I'll agree with you, and I'll say that it's extremely disappointing that we all have the attitude or the idea that because I chose to work hard and because I want to have things, that I need to expect that from everybody else around me. They didn't make a choice to be born into this society. And if somebody can't handle socializing or being around other people, we should have a minimum standard for them to do more than get by, to be able to be happy.
Well, and I want to add to that, because what you just said is important. Many people are of the belief that most people don't want to work. I don't know who they've been around, but I've been around family, friends, and people I don't know. And mostly everybody that I know wants to work. They want to work. Okay. And so I don't know what they're talking about. So anyway, thank you for calling in, Patrick. You always add to the discussion. All right. Let's see.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too, my brother. Carl Cox says, Egberto, please spend more time on responding to chats posts by members of the PDR Posse. All members of the PDR Posse tell Egberto this. Carl Cox, you just have to say that once. Let me just say what I answer, Carl. When somebody has something of value, positive value, etc., if I catch the scroll, I'm going to say, just like you saw me read good information from our live chat on Substack, just like you saw me read Rudnin yourself as well. I've read some of your thing today. Check the stack, as well as when Paul Fleming. When you guys write, if it's something that I think I can add value to, I will respond to it. There are certain things that I figure will be responded to in the chat. I can't handle them all. So again, if you have something that you absolutely want me to look into, say it in the chat, and I'll try my best to do so, Carl Cox. But again, I'm very open, and this is y'all's show. But I can't. We have several hundred people on right now. I am not going to get to the several hundred people, so I kind of eyeball and take things out. And when it comes, and thank you, Michael, for responding to some of the folks, brothers and sisters on the right wing. I ignore a lot of that because when things simply make no sense, I don't give it traction at all. But for those of you who want to engage them, fine. But I won't engage the misinformation unless I think there's a good purpose to engage it, my brothers. All right, Valence, he says, hey, boss, I just want to ask someone of your stature if the Elder Ring and Night Rain servers are back up. Respond, I would like to know, thanks. If the Elden Ring Night Rain servers are back up. Oops, hey, boss, Mr. Valence CG. I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe I misunderstood your question. I don't know, maybe. All right, so look, guys, we are near the end of the program. Are you still with us, Patrick? Anything else you want to add?
Yes, sir. No, sir. I'm just listening.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you wanted to add something else. But yeah, let me tell you, folks, I'm going to be, let's say it's 3:56 right now. I was going to talk about the Bernie Sanders statement. I'm going to talk about it for about a couple minutes. This is the title. Citing new study, Sanders called Trump-GOP budget bill a death sentence for 51,000 people every year. Just like Texas is killing people for not taking the Medicaid expansion to affordable care, so is this budget. It says, an analysis released Tuesday by researchers at the University of Pennsylvania and Yale estimates that more than 51,000 additional people across the United States would die unnecessarily each year if the Republican Party budget reconciliation package becomes law. The analysis requested by Senator Bernie Sanders and Ron Wyden focuses specifically on Trump GOP bill's attacks on healthcare, examining the deadly consequences of throwing millions of people off of Medicaid and barring implementation of Biden-era rule requiring nursing homes that receive federal funding to meet the different levels. The link is going to be on the blog post for this program. So please go ahead and spend the time to read the article that I cross-linked to. A very, very important article. Anyway, one other piece of the article, 11,300 deaths from the loss of Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act marketplace coverage due to 7.7 million people losing coverage, 18.2 million deaths due to the loss of Medicaid coverage among 1.38 million low-income Medicare beneficiaries, causing the loss of access to low-income prescription drugs, and 13,000 deaths among Medicaid enrollees in nursing homes due to the rollback of CMS 2024 nursing home minimum staffing levels. There you go. We've been saying this all along. These guys don't give a damn about you. And I want to make a specific reference to my right-wing folks in the chat right now. A lot of you like to claim Christianity. A lot of you like to claim morality. But here is the thing. And I say this with respect, and I want you to check your hearts. There is nothing moral and Christian about what these Republicans are doing, but worse, there is nothing moral or Christian about you in supporting the murder of your fellow citizens. But you know what? I know this is going over your head. I wish you luck. Oh, God, I have to go over 1 minute. Okay, Mike, you have 1 minute.
Okay, real quick. Okay, so this Medicare that you're regurgitating. All right, I've been doing some research on it and the lies that Democrats have been putting out. Okay, so in a nutshell, basically this is what's going on. Biden and the Democrats put in $2 trillion extra spending in the budgetary process of 2024 for Medicaid. Okay, as far as the cuts are like around $700 to $800 billion over 10 years. Okay. That's how they do it in 10-year increments. So they're only cutting it in half of the increase of spending. You get what I'm saying here?
Oh, I understand perfect.
$1 trillion.
Look,
it's
let's
a $1.2 trillion increase in spending.
Notice I made you speak. Okay, that's where you're going wrong. I don't care if the people are what you call illegals. When you go to France, if you get sick, you get care. When you go to Germany, if you get sick, you get care. Folks coming over to the United States, if we were a humane society, if you get sick, you should get care. That's number one. Número dos is as follows.
The illegals come here, they get care.
I made you speak. Again, I know that.
If you want to steal my money,
Michael, I gave you 1 minute. Stop. I gave you 1 minute. Stop speaking.
Okay, well,
you're thrown off.
Go ahead. Keep.
All right, let's talk about this because I'm going to go an extra 30 seconds. Notice what that Christian said. If they come here, they just get kicked out. I suggest you read the Bible as far as what Jesus said about the foreigner. I suggest you learn American history to see whose land this really is. I suggest you learn about the Trail of Tears. I suggest you learn about what we've done and what we have to atone for. I suggest you learn that before you take that stance. Nobody came here when Europeans invaded this country. Nobody said, get to hell out. We have a lot to atone for. Sorry, my brothers and sisters that don't live by the evilness of Michael and the others. I'm sorry for kind of getting a bit irate, but whenever we talk about harming people, it hurts me. And it's something that I hope to put into the brains of others that we need to be better. Mike Cisak is probably one of the deplorables that was spoken about by Hillary Clinton. And yes, I said that because anybody who just says that, we kick them out, should go read a Bible since they claim they're Christians. Sorry, folks, for getting a bit excited there. I bid you apologies. Anyway, my brothers and sisters, please support the program however you can. We are going to we can't extricate these people. And notice I give them fair rein to come to the program. You need to see what evil looks like. This is what evil looks like. You need to understand what evil looks like. That's evil. Brothers and sisters, I ask that you support the program however you can. I ask you to become paid subscribers of our newsletter so we can promote truth, so that we can promote honesty, so that we can promote morality, so that we can promote humanity. Mike Cisak is the instantiation of what evil looks like and sounds like. Please support our program however you can. politicsdoneright.newsletter is the way to subscribe to our newsletter, become a paid subscriber. I'm going to put that both in our Substack chat as well as our chat on the screen. You can also support us becoming a part of our Patreon, and that is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, Patreon, and I'm putting that in both chats as well. But again, the best way to support us is to be a paid subscriber of our newsletter. We do a lot of work here, brothers and sisters. We really work hard to promote what we're doing, what all of us need to be doing. Anyway, got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.